Hello there and welcome to Genesis Models, and welcome to this rapid video build of building a basic diorama. We're going to be doing it in 1/48 scale as well. So we're going to get out some foam and you want to sort of mark this up. I like to get it all nice and square, so I'm using like metal rulers. I'm marking one end to the other, and that should give us a really nice sort of square bit of foam board there. And I do like to come in with like a nice little sort of 90-degree angle square here, just so as we make sure the corners are 90-degree angles, so we know it's all going to be square. I like this saw by Tamiya, nice big saw, cuts through this like a knife through butter, nice and neat. But you might want to put a little bit of scrap wood underneath so you don't saw away at your table there. So with them all nicely done, I'm just going to sort of mark the height for a little bit of wood. Right, this wood's really good because it just it cuts really easy. But again, I'm marking both ends, same measurement, to get a nice straight line and keep everything all nice and parallel. To cut this, again, I'm coming in with Tamiya's saw, which just raise it off the table a bit just to cut through it. Now Despair does this really cool hoover, this desktop hoover for hobbying and definitely doing diorama. It's really good. So I've just hoovered up, and then I'm just sort of doing a little bit of a sanding just to get those rough edges all nice. We're marking up for the base of this. I mean, you don't have to do this part if you don't want to, but I like to keep things nice and tidy, and I'm just sawing that up, and we'll have a nice little base. Now coming in with some wood glue, just spreading this on with a bit of scrap wood, and we're going to glue that into place. Now I do find it's good to leave it overnight to dry and clamp it all down before you kind of move on to anything else. Now again, I'm coming in to make sure our 90-degree angles are good, which it wasn't quite good here. So this is where you want to do just a little bit of trimming and sanding, just as I say, so everything's all nice and neat, parallel, square, and all that good stuff to make our base look nice and professional. So we've got all that at a nice 90-degree angle. Now I'm just planning out the diorama itself, just kind of where we want grass. We're going to put some slabs down here, so again, keeping everything 90-degree angles and nice and square, and this just kind of allows you to kind of see and visualize a bit what your diorama is going to look like. So I'm going to take our grassy area and kind of give this a bit of a free dimension here, and just saw it out a little bit so it's just recessed a little bit, ready to take mud and all that kind of stuff. So again, that hoover is amazing for the mesh you make with dioramas. And coming back in with the wood glue, and we're going to glue down the sides again, using clamps or weight or something just to let that dry, giving it overnight to dry as well. And as you can see, I'm just putting some weight on there. Getting all the sides done, we're going to now cut away the kind of excess, right? Rather than measuring, I kind of just glued it and then I just cut it off, and then you can trim and sand that later. So down to getting our concrete slabs done. Ammo does some really nice easy concrete mix that you don't have to mess about making your own. You could if you wanted to, but we're just slapping this on and pasting it on with a little spatula, as you could see. But to get it nice and flat, I'm just doing one big piece of wood and just smearing across like so, just to get everything nice and level. Any flat spots we can just whack on a little bit more. As you can see, I needed to do that there, and we can repeat that process and we get things relatively level. Now because this is 1/48 scale, it's probably going to look a bit too rough and a bit out of scale, so a little bit of water there after it's dried a bit, and then we can start smoothing things off again just to get it in that right scale. Now onto some mud, again by Ammo. They do a load of different colors and textures here, so I'm whacking down the mud, as you can see, and then I'm just stippling it with an old paintbrush to give it a really sort of weathered, sort of muddy sort of look. So with all that dry, we're gonna sort of reapply our markings here for where our slabs are going to go, using a pencil so we can rub it out if we get it wrong, and then coming in with the blade again, using a nice ruler, keep it straight. we're going to just cut into this just to give us ourselves a guide, and then I'm going to come in and dig it out a bit more, make it a bit more deeper, and get that recess looking in scale. Now I'm going to do some cracked slabby bits here, so I'm just freehand making little cracks, and then I'll dig it out a bit more to bring them out, which you should just see here. Really cool those little details kind of really make up dioramas. So I'm just trimming up these edges that I should have done earlier, but doing it now. I'm just going to sand them up. You might want to put some filler in there just to make it really nice and neat. So we're coming in with some German grey. This is by Vallejo. We're going to pre-shade our slabs, so we're just getting those recessed areas and making them darker. Even going off and doing a bit of mottling as well inside the actual slabs, just to kind of create lots of interest rather than being just a flat colour on here. So we're going to come in with now 275, a medium grey. Again, this is pre-shading. We're just kind of adding different colours for different intensities of our pre-shading, just mottling that in on there as well. So our main colour, I do believe that was 050. Just spraying this all on nice and light so we don't kill off the pre-shading, just enough to start seeing our main colour come through, and you just want that pre-shading just to lightly come through, as you can see just there, so it gives it a lot of nice interest. Now we're going to come in with some nut oil. We're going to add some water to it. I don't want it to be that intense, right? And we're going to put this down as a wash. I've quickly tested it there, but it is wet, so I'll just add a bit more water if need be, just to thin it out a bit, and we'll just plaster that all on. Now you might not be too happy with it, maybe it's a bit too intense, but I do like to kind of just come in with get our paintbrush and suck up all the moisture, and then we can just suck it up off of our slabs there, just to make it as intense as we want. And I kind of try not to suck it up around the recessed areas on these slabs, just to kind of keep those recessed areas looking a bit darker. So as you can see, adds a nice bit more weathering to that. So Agrax Earth Shade, we're going to use that for the muddy areas. I'm going to apply this neat as well to get the full effect, so it shows you kind of like shadowy, dirty areas, and then highlighted, raised areas. So we're going to come in micro crystal clear here now and put some tufts of grass down. We just put this is quite easy, just put the glue down, put the tufts on top. I mean, I kind of added too much glue there, but I got the idea after a bit, and that's going to add a nice bit of sort of interest. Then we're going to mix up our own sort of mixture using the micro crystal clear, or you could use PVA glue, to be fair, and make it nice and thin, sort of a little bit more thicker than, say, milk. And I'm just gonna basically plaster this all over, being careful around those tufts of grass. Now this is called by Ammo the Grassomatic static grass applicator. This is really cool if you're doing dioramas, like to get your grass to stand up makes such a difference. Easy to use, and you just kind of get the crocodile clip to kind of touch that wet glue, and then you shake the static grass on there, which will sort of get it all to stand up. Now again, this is where the hoover's going to come in so useful, because there's so much mess. Turn this thing on, you can suck it all up, especially off of the diorama itself, right? We've got quite a bit on the slabs, and it just sucks it all up and cleans and keep your diorama nice and fresh as well. And as you can see, that grass sticking up looks so much more nicer than just throwing it down. So onto some Caliban Green. I'm actually going to dry brush my grass. Make sure your grass is dry before you do this stage, by the way. Nice simple dry brushing. Oh, those maple leaf dry brushes are amazing, by the way. Really sort of a better way of doing dry brushing. Coming in with the Elysian Green, I'm just sort of gonna get the tops, especially the tops of the tufts of grass, to kind of show that kind of highlight. Really kind of makes a difference to it all. Agrak Surf Shade. I do believe I'm going to thin this down with some water, and I'm going to basically kind of put a wash on the grass as well. I'm doing this because I find static grass is quite plasticky, and it just kind of needs a bit of paint on it just to kind of basically make it look like the rest of the model rather than something looking plastic and not artificial. You know, so that's why I'm doing this. It looks quite dark there, but it does dry up a nice colour. So some distilled turpentine and some fuel stains. Again, it's all about the details with dioramas. So I'm just mixing them up to make it nice and thin and dab it down. You don't really want to sort of really see a big stain here. You want to slowly make your mixture more and more thicker, so then you see the stains and you dab it down, and it's sort of trying to get this sort of as you can see, I think I'm almost coming in neat here with these fuel stains, and it just gives that illusion of sort of drips and then it sort of flows out, and as you can see, it really does make a nice effect. Now this engine oil one is really dark and dirty, and I kind of like to do lots of little spots here just to kind of try and keep it in scale, and lots of little dots and all this stuff. And as you can see, it makes a really cool fuel stain just there. So onto some oils now. We've got some dark mud. I'm kind of doing like a bit of a transition from the dirt to the concrete here. So I've put the oil stains down, then I'm coming in with some enamel odorless thinners, and we're going to dab and feather that in. And you just keep on going until you get this nice feathered sort of dusty muddy thing going on there, and you can sort of now start to clean it up, and you keep cleaning it until you get to the intensity that you want. And as you can see, it just adds that nice bit of feather in there. Onto some panel line wash, the deep brown now. I kind of did the same things I've just did with the oils, but I've kind of followed the recesses just to kind of again give that bit of a feather in. Light, nice, really does well. Now nice and simple, I'm just getting out some black paintbrush. I'm going to paint the sides nice and black, nice and neat as you can. You could use an airbrush if you wanted to go down that route, but I'll just quickly threw a paintbrush down here, and then the lovely matte coat to finish this all off, and making it look all good and all brings it all together. And then you can put all your diorama down, planes, crew, tools, whatever you want, just to spice it all up. And that is now all nice and finished. So please do go check out the Genesis Models website at genesismodels.co.uk. There you will find loads more rapid video builds, inbox reviews, shows, you name it, tutorials, everything about building models. Please go over there and support us and like us. Other than that, hopefully you have enjoyed. So as always, until next time, my name is Bobby Waldron, it's Genesis Models, and I hope you've enjoyed.